welcome back to my channel. Hope you're all doing well out there. And today we're going back to the year 1980 for a haunted house movie of sorts, kind of. But before getting into this one, do me a favor, like, comment, and subscribe. I greatly would appreciate that. Also, as always, a shameless plug for my TeePublic store. There's a link for that in the description box below. And as I said, we're going back to the year 1980 for Death Ship. Death Ship came out March 7th of 1980. It's rated R. It's an hour and 31 minutes long. Had a budget of $4.5 million, and upon release, it only made $1.75. To direct Death Ship, Alan Rakoff came in to direct this film. This was made through Avco Embassy, but also was a Canadian production. So they needed them. Canadian productions needed to have so many Canadians working on a movie, and Alan Rakoff was a Canadian, so they brought him in to direct this film. We have a great cast here. Our initial trio, our three-trio star here, we have George Kennedy as Captain Ashland. George Kennedy was a legend, won an Oscar in many films. A lot of horror films later in his career as well, like Creepshow 2 and whatnot. He was in Naked Gun, obviously. And George Kennedy's a legend. I love George Kennedy. Kind of reminds me of my grandfather. Just kind of looks like him too. But George Kennedy's great, and he's great here as well. We also got Richard Crenna playing his second-in-command, Trevor. And then his next in command is played by Nick Mancuso, who plays Nick, funny enough. And pretty much what we have here, we have this ocean liner cruise ship in the middle of the ocean. And one night during a dinner party, kind of like the Poseidon Adventure, this ghost ship, which means there's nobody on board, comes out of nowhere and has a collision course with this cruise ship. Cruise ship sinks. George Kennedy's character, Richard Crenna's character, Nick Mancuso's character, his girlfriend, Trevor's wife and kids, this other woman, and Sal Rubinek's also in this film. He makes it. They're on this kind of raft thing, and they happen upon this ghost ship, and they go onto the ship trying to find help. Nobody's there, but all of a sudden these supernatural things start happening, and they start getting killed off one by one. Pretty soon, Captain Ashland gets possessed or goes nuts, and starts killing people as well, and he thinks this ship is his. And we come to find out, as we're peeling back the layers as the movie goes on, this was a Nazi ship that they were performing torture on. And later on in the film, they find bodies upon bodies in the freezer and the storage area. And pretty soon, Richard Crenna and his wife and his kids make it off, and they're the only ones to make it off alive, and that's the end of Death Ship. George Kennedy's character gets killed as well. So what to like about this film? Well, I've never seen this film. I've saw it over the years. I've never actually saw it. I thought I may have seen it at one point, but I'm watching this last night. I don't remember any of this movie. So this was a fresh watch for me. I'm new to this movie. I like the premise. I will say that. I like the cast here. I mean, we have a great three-man lead here with George Kennedy, Richard Crenna, and Nick Mancuso. Very capable actors. They're doing good work here. I think everybody's good. All the ladies here and the kids, they're all really good. The setting of this ghost ship is cool. I mean, I know later on we had a movie called Ghost Ship released by Warner Brothers through Dark Castle, which I'm going to say, I could see I don't know if they did, but I would swear they took inspiration from this movie, at least general plot-wise, because there's some similarities between this film and that film. Could be a happy coincidence, but I would say they may have seen this before they wrote that movie or created that movie. The bodies, towards the end, we see some bodies, and they're very convincing. The makeup effects look really good. This isn't overly gory. We get some blood and obviously decomposing bodies. That's where the gore comes from. But this movie isn't overly violent. I mean, even when George Kennedy's character kills some people, it's not overly violent. But it is R-rated. It's short at an hour and 31 minutes long. I think the problems with this movie are the premise is so intriguing, but I will say the execution is lacking here. What could have been a really cool, really grade A, cool-ass horror film, it kind of meanders. There's not a lot of suspense here. I think in the hands of a better director, and I hate saying that because Alvin Rakoff is no longer with us, but I got to be truthful. In the hands of a better director like a John Carpenter or somebody of that stature, we could have got more suspense out of this and had a better horror film overall. I think there's some shots that just look silly, especially the zoom-ins on the equipment in the engine room and that, just unnecessary. And even like the lighting in that, just, it's not creepy. I was never there's not a whole lot of suspense. It's just kind of everything kind of just unravels and happens. And I kind of like where the story goes, where this was a Nazi ship at one point and a lot of death occurred on this ship. That's why it's haunted. But honestly, it just kind of happens. I mean, the actors are giving it their all. They're trying their best. I just think, again, the execution leaves a lot to be desired. I don't think it's a particularly well-directed movie. It's okay. It's not amateur hour-ish. But I just think, considering the concept, this could have been such a better movie in the hands of a better filmmaker. And it just doesn't... It's okay. At the end of the day, it's just an okay movie. There's nothing really special about this other than the cast. I mean, it's always great to see George Kennedy. And him with Richard Crenna and even Nick Mancuso, they all have great chemistry together. But yeah, this is kind of just, it just happens. It's just okay. And thank God it's only an hour and 31 minutes long, or this would have been a drag to get through, in all honesty. It's okay, and I'll give you my rating in a second. This was shot in Mobile Bay, Alabama, and Dauphin Island, around those areas, and also shot up in Quebec, Canada. Like I said, this was a partial Canadian production, so there had to be some metrics along with, they have different things you got to reach to get Canadian financing. But the shipwreck sequence, when the ships collide and there's the shipwreck happens, they actually reused footage from the last voyage from 1960. They spliced it in to make that look believable. At the end of the day, this is an okay haunted ship movie. Again, I can see where Ghost Ship might have got some inspiration from this. I don't know that for a fact, but I would swear after watching this that they took pieces of this movie and put it in that movie. Or it could be a happy kind of coincidence, but I'd be almost willing to bet some of the people that worked on that movie saw this movie. The cast is good here, but at the end of the day, this is kind of a flat movie. Not a whole lot of suspense. Again, I think the premise of this movie is way cooler than what we actually get on screen. And this is a movie that I'd love to see remade. I think there's some really cool things here that could happen with this movie. Even better than Ghost Ship. I think this could be totally different than Ghost Ship. I think it is different than Ghost Ship enough that you could do something really cool with this, with a remake with a decent budget and the right filmmaker that understands suspense and horror. I think this could be a cool movie. But at the end of the day, for what we got, I would give this movie a 6 out of 10. 6 out of 10 for Death Ship. Have you ever seen this movie? Leave a comment down below. Let me know. Hit the thumbs up. Hit the subscribe button. Share this video. I greatly would appreciate that. That's it for this one, but until next time, bye.